It is that time of year again. Back to school, which means packing school lunches.
Yes. How did it sneak up on us so quickly? I feel like that every year. I don't know about you. And it's like, wow, it is here. We better get organized.
We are going to stock up today so that we've got just quick grab and go things for school lunches. We are about to make your lives so much easier and our lives easier too. So let's get started. Sometimes it's best to use what you have. Actually, it's always best to use what you have.
Of course.
There's no sometimes about it. It's always best to use what you have. And we had a little, I don't want to say incident because it wasn't major.
No.
But 2 days ago, Christy and I were filming a frugal video and we were making 7-can soup. And I just went hog wild with the electric can opener and I was just opening all the cans.
She counted 7 cans and that was it. And she opened them. But it doesn't call for tomato sauce, yet we have a can of tomato sauce. So the missing can, we decided, was the chicken broth.
Yes.
We have it in a box, in a Tetra Pak, and I think the original recipe would have called for like
2 cans.
2 cans of condensed chicken broth. So that made sense, but here we have an open can of tomato sauce.
And so for today, I was planning to use pizza sauce, and I had purchased pizza sauce, but we're gonna make our own with the tomato sauce and some tomato paste, and I have this handy dandy pizza seasoning.
How handy.
And that will use up the open can so it won't go to waste, which I'm happy about. And therefore, we were already planning to make like 1 pizza recipe. I just added 2 more pizza recipes because we're gonna have so much sauce.
We will have a lot of sauce. Hey, maybe we'll even use up all of this and have to open one of your other little pizza cans anyway.
You never know.
Yeah, never know. I guess we'll find out by the end of this video.
And the other thing is if you're making pizza inspired things, and so you've got out like your mozzarella cheese and your pepperoni, green pepper, and all the things that you would do for pizza sauce, then it actually is less expensive to make a bunch of different things using all of those ingredients, because then you're going to use them all up and then you're going to have sort of variety. They're all pizza-ish with similar things.
But when it comes to kids, you can't go wrong with pizza-ish items at all.
You really can't. And for them, when it's like a pizza pinwheel one day and a little mini pizza another day and a pizza slider another day, it's gonna feel exciting and new, even though it's all the same ingredients.
You just break them apart?
Yeah.
I cut them every time because I don't have the patience to stand there and do what you're doing.
Okay, well, good thing I'm on this station.
I would have totally just cut them and you'd have been like, what are you doing? That's so funny.
Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is cute little English muffin pizzas. My mom used to make these for me when I was a little girl, so I've always made them for my kids. And then, of course, I discovered that you can freeze them. The trick to this, of course, is that you bake them first, and then you cool them, then freeze them flat, just on the sheet that you bake them on is just fine. And then once they are frozen, then you're gonna transfer them into your freezer bag. Then you can just take out 1 or 2 at a time and put it in that school lunch. And they can reheat it if they have a microwave available to them, or they can eat it cold. The nice thing about these English muffin pizzas is that you can put anything on them. So, you know, you could make like a Hawaiian ham and pineapple one, or you could put you can take black olives and make like a smiley face if you want, if your kids like black olives. Or you can make a smiley face with the pineapple.
Or you could do a little red pepper.
Yes,
black
totally.
olives and a red pepper smiley.
Yeah. So they're cute anyway, but you can make them even cuter if you want to. So I'm just opening the English muffins, and Christy is making our homemade pizza sauce out of necessity.
Ooh, it smells pizza-y.
Yeah, it's so good.
I'm just gonna eyeball it, and I can always add more. You can't take it out if there's too much, but you can always add more if you think you need it.
The pizza seasoning is from
Epicure.
Epicure. I think they're just called, they used to be Victorian Epicure. I think it's just
Did
called
they?
Epicure now. Yeah.
I've never heard them. You have been buying from them a lot longer than me. You actually have an active Epicure rep?
Yes.
I do not.
Epicure is just seasoning blends that don't have a lot of fillers in them, and most of them tend to be gluten-free, and so it's just, for me, it's nicer to know kind of more what's in mine, or I make my own blends sometimes too. Anyway, they are a brand that I trust.
I have only ever been to one Epicure party. I'm assuming the sauce goes on first. Oh, I have the instructions. Pizza sauce with Italian seasoning, but we have our seasoning covered, I think. Slice each English muffin in half.
Well, I did it with my hands.
You did great. You did wonderfully. Spoon about 2 tablespoons of sauce onto each one before sprinkling with the cheese and then your favorite toppings. Okay, I will be in charge of the sauce. No, I went to one Epicure party in my whole life. A friend of mine had started to sell it. I went to the party. Maybe I went with you.
I think you went with me.
And I bought the measuring spoons because we had already started to do freezer meals together, and I was like massively coveting her measuring spoons.
They are the best. Now, Epicure doesn't sell them anymore, but we have them below in our Amazon store.
I feel like I'm putting it on a little thick.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
I didn't want to say anything
Well,
because I just want to be encouraging.
It says 2 tablespoons, and I'm just kind of using a honkin' spoonful, thinking, well, that'll be 2 tablespoons.
I think that's more like 3.
I think you're probably right.
So yes, the measuring spoons are really that great. They're
that I'm not using.
Like, yes, that's true. How ironic.
You know, there's a time and a place. All right, those ones are extra saucy. You give them to the kids you love the best. I'm joking. Unless they don't like the sauce. And then you give them the kids you like the least. Just on that day. My cousin used to say that to his kids. He would walk behind them, like they'd have their cereal and he'd have like a strawberry or something, and he would put it in his daughters and say, I love you best today. But the next day he might give it to his son, and he said it every day, and I'm like, actually that's kind of sweet.
It's kind of cute.
I did it again. Maybe you should do it.
I might relegate you to the toppings.
We don't want that. We'll run out of that too. Okay. We do have more pizza sauce. We have cans we've established, so.
Okay, I'm just gonna be really simple today and do pepperoni on these. I think I'm just going to do pepperoni.
Okay.
Oh, pepperoni and green pepper.
Yeah, we have green pepper. Left over from our frugal video, actually.
Yes, because we're being extra frugal.
Because we're being extra frugal. Okay, here's a question for you about your pizza, YouTube viewers. Are you a cheese on top of all the toppings person, or are you a cheese first and then toppings on top of the cheese sort of person? I had a friend tell me that that was kind of an American thing versus a Canadian thing.
Interesting.
Because I do toppings first and then cheese.
Me too.
And that's how we grew up doing it. And he was talking with a friend from Chicago. And I mean, deep dish Chicago pizza, they're like, cheese goes on first. I don't know. We just don't do it that way here.
Well, we don't.
We don't.
Who knows what the neighbor does? The other neighbor, Christy's already my neighbor. Actually, I was talking with one of my, I'm gonna out one of my sons.
Are you seriously putting one on each one?
No, I'm putting like 3.
Okay. What about your perfect bite?
Well,
Your
it's not
nachos.
gonna be a perfect bite because I'm not eating them.
No, I guess.
So, okay, I was talking to one of my sons yesterday, and a friend of mine was here. Not Christy. I do have other friends.
She has other friends.
It is surprising, I know. But anyway, and we were talking about this, I don't know, this story just came to my mind because I was thinking about neighbors. And we were talking about how one time when we went camping and he stayed home because he had to work, he was a teenager, he's an adult now. He had a party. And one of our other neighbors outed him. She sent me a message, and I didn't get it right away because we didn't have good cell service at the campground, but we ended up coming home early because he was having a party. very bad child.
I don't remember. Oh, I don't really remember that, but I do remember, same child, was at another friend's party.
We were talking about that last night too, when the same conversation. It was, okay, it's so funny actually.
You have to tell it. It is so funny.
It's so funny. Okay, so that same summer, and the funniest part about this is that this has been like our most compliant, easiest, sweetest child who never ever got in trouble. Like, ever.
Oh, he'll get the one with the most sauce.
Like, anyway, yes. Not my favorite, but easiest, for sure. By a mile. Christy can concur.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so that's why I can tell these 2 stories of the 2 times he was ever, like...
remotely bad.
Yeah, remotely. Anyway, so the one weekend he had the party. Now, they did stay outside. They didn't trash our house or anything, but it was a party. Like, it was a huge party.
I was a bad neighbor. I didn't even know it was happening until it was too late.
It was the neighbor 2 doors that way that told us, not Christy 2 doors that way.
Because she would drive by your house when she leaves our subdivision. I am closer to the entrance, so I wouldn't drive by your house.
Yes, and I think she also might have heard it, and that might have just been the way the wind was blowing.
Honestly,
the music.
yeah.
Like, who knows? So, anyway, he has this party. He got in massive trouble from us, so he got grounded. So, he is grounded for a month. I know. I am like a very mean mother to ground him for a month in the summer. But he's grounded for a month. Towards the end of the month, he comes to me. I can't believe I'm telling this story to public, but to the whole world.
It's a funny one.
Okay, so he comes to me and he says, Mom, like, I know that I'm grounded and deservedly so, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But one of his best friends is like, all the boys are going out. There was this group of 4 boys, right? They're going out to the cabin for just one night, and it would just mean so much to me. It's the last weekend of the summer. Like, if you would just let me go this one night, and like his parents are gonna be there, and all these things that were lies. They were lies. Anyway, and because we had really high trust with this child too. I was...
Over his good track record.
Because he had a really good
track
record. He had earned the trust. So I relented. I let him go to
the cabin.
So the next day, I had 5 of our younger kids were in this soccer camp in like a town 2 towns away. So I had driven them and then come back home, and I was gonna get some work done. And I phoned our son, who is, supposedly far away at this cabin. But I was just walking into the house. So I was still in my yard because I had to walk from my vehicle. Our garage isn't attached to our house. So, I had to walk around. And so I'm talking to him on the phone, and I hear a bird.
A rooster.
It was
a rooster.
In my yard, like I hear it.
In the neighborhood.
Right? But then I also hear it through the phone.
The same rooster?
At the same time. And so I realize that he is not at this cabin like an hour and a half away. He is in our subdivision. Like, he is here. And so quick thinking, I realized that there was one friend that he had that lived in our subdivision, and I knew that her parents were away. I knew that they were out of town, so I quickly deduced she must have had a party last night.
It was all a ruse.
He stayed at this party, so he must be there. So I had gotten off the phone with him.
Super sleuth, Charlotte. I'm so impressed. I just think this is hilarious.
And so, I mean, I did out her to her parents, told them that she had had a party, like,
Yeah.
definitely. I also told her she'd better darn well clean up before her parents got home. So I drive over, it's not that far, and he had his vehicle over there, but I drive over and I phone him from the driveway. And I'm like, come out now. And he was like,
What do you mean, Mom?
What do you mean? What are you talking about? And I'm like, walk outside and get in my vehicle now. And he was like, but what, you know? And so I was like, unless you want me to come in there in front of your friends
And collect you.
you better come out to my vehicle now. So he comes out and he gets in the front seat, and okay, that's the last time that I know of that he's ever done anything remotely like
That you
breaking
know
any
of.
rules.
I think he probably just got
Totally.
sneakier, but
Well, I don't know. With this kid, I don't know, because he probably would have told me by now, because he's like full-fledged, like owns his own house adult, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, when he got in the car, all I could do was, and his car was there, and he was like, but my car, and I was like, leave your car. You can come back later.
you can walk
But
over and get it later.
I'm like, you are coming with me. And I just cried all the way home. And I was like, I just can't believe you lied to me, because I didn't think we had that kind of relationship. And I just like cried and cried. I was so sad. And that was like cured him. It was like way more effective than if I had yelled at him or if I had, anyway, it seemed to be. So
I just think it is the funniest story that you caught him because you heard the same rooster through the phone and in your regular ear at the same time. So if you are a kid and you are watching this, I don't have any advice for you. Don't disobey your mother. How about that?
parents are really good detectives.
And you didn't even have to be a good detective to figure that one out, to be honest. That's funny.
I don't know how that story came up. I don't even know how we got here.
We were talking about the other story when he went to the party.
Oh, neighbors.
Neighbors.
It has nothing to do with anything except neighbors. I was thinking Christy's not our only good neighbor, because that neighbor, who's no longer there, actually, they have moved away. But 2 doors of that way, they were really good neighbors too. And we have other good neighbors.
My neighbor across the road is awesome.
Yes, he is.
He is. He thwarted a group of kids that were trying to break into his car, and he went out with a giant flashlight and they scattered like insects, and he even, like, he talked with them after, and like, it was just, he's a good neighbor. He is a very good neighbor. And he told me about it the next morning, and like, some of our vehicles were unlocked, and just by luck they went to his house instead of ours, and you know, but he is the watchdog of the neighborhood. He's a good guy.
And it's a good person to have on the corner.
Yeah, yeah. And he, get this, talk about being intuitive. He knew something was up. It was a Saturday night and he was watching Saturday Night Live. Like, I remember this very vividly, and it was a hot summer night and his front door was open with just the screen in his storm door. And he heard a vehicle pull up to the mailboxes and 2 car doors shut.
Right.
And he says, why do 2 people need to get the mail?
Yeah.
And so his spidey senses were going already. And then he heard the crunch, crunch, crunch on the gravel. And he doesn't lock his vehicles. Sorry, I'm telling you this. But he also leaves absolutely nothing in them so that if they go in, they can't get anything anyway. But he would rather that than a broken window. And we live in an area where, like, that's the only break-in.
But there was a rash of break-ins that summer.
Oh,
in all kinds.
Our mailbox kept getting
Yes.
hit, our community mailbox.
It was an interesting year.
And those were kids. I mean, the girl was 16 years old and she had her mom's minivan and she was from a couple of roads over, like, just out being dumb. Just dumb. I hope she's making better choices. That was a few years ago now.
Well,
like at least 10.
Maybe her mom needed to cry in the front seat to turn her around.
Right?
I don't know.
We should get these in the oven,
Yes,
and
okay.
then we will move on to the next recipe.
Definitely.
Today's going to be more of a talker than a doer. Sorry.
The antics in our neighborhood. Okay, so
I am gonna watch you make these because the last time I made them, I cut them twice as thick as you cut them, and I'm like, there's no way you could cut them thinner. I would like to see you do this.
okay.
So this is the pepperoni pizza pinwheels, and
No pressure. She's just telling me you have to do it like a.
well, I did it wrong, and you're like, you're cutting those too thick, and I'm like, it is what it is, because I don't know how to cut them thinner.
So the nice thing about these pepperoni pinwheels is that they're fine to eat cold. No heating required. We are going to cook them today, of course. I'm not going to give you raw Pillsbury crescent dough, but
Just your least favorite child. Sorry.
the theme of today's video. I do have another story for you, sort of related to Neighbors, but I'm going to wait until we're done this recipe before I tell you. So basically I am pressing the seams together, and then if you want, you can roll it out a bit.
Do you have the Pampered Chef roller that has, yeah, I'll grab that. It is sticky today.
It is sticky, and the seams are not staying together well. Do you ever find that with the Pillsbury crescent dough or even the pizza dough, like it really depends on the one you get, like the one you open? I wonder if it's based on like how new it is or...
Yeah. Or, I mean, it sat out in the cupboard for a few minutes while we were filming. So maybe it's just a little bit too warm. Whatever. Done is better than perfect. And it's done.
It's done. All right, now we're gonna spread a thin layer of sauce. And you do need to do this one quite thin because otherwise you just end up with sauce everywhere. So not that that's like the end of the world or anything.
No.
I forgot to mention this earlier, but the links for the recipes are going to be in the description below. Now, some of these I think you could figure out without a recipe, but if you are the kind of person that likes to follow a recipe exactly, then you go ahead. Now, if you wanted to put green pepper in this too, you could, or onion, or mushrooms, or black olives. But if you were going to put green pepper in, I would suggest you cut it a little finer than we have ours cut.
Yeah. So when I went to print the labels for these, we do have labels for all of our recipes. The labels have cooking instructions on them, and so it will tell you, take it out, thaw it, this is how long you cook it for, this is how you do it. Or if there's any extra like, you need to serve it with this, then that's your cue to go to the store and buy it. Now, the labels are just in our club, and I was looking at the pepperoni pizza pinwheels, and on the main website, where they're all free, our recipes are there for free, but I'll tell you about the club in a second. They were called pepperoni pizza rolls. But she had called them pinwheels when she said, we're gonna do the pizza pinwheels. And so I went and checked in the club, and I saw that there was a difference. So I will, by the time this video comes out, I will have changed it so that both say pepperoni pizza pinwheels, because I don't want people to be confused about what they are making.
Now I'm going to put cheese on.
So in the Freezer Meals 101 Club, all of our recipes are there, and here's the lovely thing about it. You can go in, if you're a member, you can make a meal plan. So you could make all of these, and you can go in and make yourself a meal plan of exactly
school lunches.
You could call it school lunches, and anything in the club that looks like it could be lunchy, or you could go onto a filter that says lunches or snacks. All of the ones that are lunchy kind of items or snacky kind of items will come up. Do you want to trade and do that in front of yourself instead of, like, you're short and cute, and we should, let's just make it a little bit easier for you. I'm having a hard time telling my story about the club.
We got to get the English muffins, or pizzas, out of the oven.
Whoa, they look good.
So I'm just rolling this lengthwise.
And I'm just gonna come and show you how good these look. Da, da, da. And we're gonna let them cool. They will go into the freezer. We'll freeze them just like this. Once they're frozen, we'll pop them into a freezer bag, throw a label on it, and Bob's your uncle. Carry on.
All right.
Might as well finish these up, and then I will finish my story.
Okay, so you have two options with these for slicing. You can slice them with a knife, a sharp knife, or once you've rolled it lengthwise, or you can cut it with scissors. How thick did I say?
1-inch slices. Roll the dough into a long log and then use a sharp knife to cut the log into 10 1-inch slices.
This is gonna be way more than 10.
Yeah.
And I'm doing more like 1/2 inch.
So maybe I followed the directions.
Yes, you might have followed the instructions. All right, let me do them a little bit. Let me cut them a little bit thicker.
We'll see. Now I'm curious. I want to go back and look at that video. These are kind of mushy today. I think it's because it's warm.
You know what? Let's put this in the freezer.
Good idea. Charlotte just put those in the freezer so that they'll firm up and they'll cut nicer. We have a recipe called Santa Fe spirals, which is another snack idea or an appetizer. And they actually cut a little bit better when they are slightly frozen. So you roll them up and you use tortillas. And when you take it out, you let it thaw just to the point where you can cut it. And then they cut so beautifully and they keep their shape and they stay round. So I think that is a smart move to put it in the freezer and firm it up.
It just was like they were mushy.
Yeah, no,
So
I think
they
this
weren't
is
cutting
smart.
nicely. So we're just adapting our plan.
Sometimes you have to do that. Again,
Okay.
I'm going to say done is better than perfect.
Yes, you finish your story.
I will finish the story about the club. It isn't even a story. I'm just telling you about the club because then once you make your lunch meal plan, you can add whatever ones you want into it. If you want to double these recipes, there's a little slider that you can increase the servings so that you will know how much to buy, because all of that gets scooped up into one shopping list. And then you go through it and you can check off, oh, look, I already have cheese, or I have an open can of tomato sauce.
I don't need to buy pizza sauce.
And you can check those off, and because it's totally editable and customizable, and it will tell you what prep you need to do, like if you need to chop green peppers or shred cheese or slice some onions. And then there come the labels. So you're gonna get all these ready, you're gonna get all of your ingredients assembled like we have here, and just at a click of a button, you will have these recipes here with your list and your prep list, and you can make these recipes just like we're doing today. You will do it a lot smoother than we are doing it today. Even though we are professionals, we are very clunky today.
We are, but this video is gonna be like talking a little bit of thing, talking a little bit of thing. So when I was in the freezer and putting those rolls in just to firm up a little bit, get that dough not so like, ugh. That's a technical term. Ugh.
I don't know how to spell it, but
I encountered 4 bags of these corn dog mini muffins that I made last. Now, I have 4 bags of the 6.5 that we made. And we just made them, I think, Thursday of last week.
I stopped in.
Yes. Christy was on vacation.
I was on vacation, and so I wasn't here when you were making them.
No, but she stopped in to borrow some taco seasoning in the middle of filming it. And so I made these corn dog mini muffins, and when I saw them in the freezer, I was like, we are putting them in this video too. So I'm gonna show you how to make these, and you want to add these into your club meal plan for back to school lunches, because these are probably my kids' number 1. And I actually,
if you're already down 2.5 bags,
yes,
then it is your number 1.
Like they go wild over these, and I can't stock them enough. And it makes a metric ton. Like, it was really good that I had my extra mini muffin tin. Thank you so much, Carrie. She's a viewer and club member that sent me a mini muffin tin in the mail. So I was able to have 2 going, which made things a lot faster. Thank you so much. But yes, these are super popular. And so I'm going to tell you how to make them, and I'll show you how to make them, even though, full disclosure, the video I'm showing you is from last week. So into your bowl, you're going to mix together some butter and sugar with your beater. Then you're going to add some eggs, actually a lot of eggs, 8 eggs, no wonder it makes so many, some liquid honey and milk, and mix that in. Then in a separate bowl, you are going to combine some flour, baking powder, cornmeal and salt and just stir that with a spoon. And then you're gonna add those dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. Use your electric beater to mix that well. And then you're gonna spoon that into some mini muffin trays. Now you only wanna fill it about half full. And then you're gonna take the hot dogs that you already sliced into chunks because that was on your prep list from the club. So that's already done. And then you're gonna place one of those hot dog chunks into the muffin cup, press it down, and bake them for just 10 minutes. Take them out, and I have to say that in that silicone muffin tray, they were very easy to pop out. You just
Oh yes, nice.
It was my first time using a silicone tray. That was extra fun. And then once they're cool, you put them into your freezer bag. These can be eaten cold. They don't need to be reheated. And I'll tell you, this corn muffin dough is so good that I actually made extras without the hot dogs in them because I don't eat hot dogs. And then I can snack on them. And 2 days ago when we were filming the frugal video,
yes,
I had forgotten to eat, which seems to be a theme in
it
my
happens
life.
to you.
And I was starting. What you guys don't see is that sometimes my stomach rumbles.
I can hear it. I don't know how the mics don't pick it up because sometimes.
I edit it out.
Do the mics pick it up?
They
Oh my
do.
goodness, that's so funny.
And so when that starts to happen, I need to throw something in myself. So that was like run to the freezer and grab out some of the mini corn muffins. So they're not just good for school lunches. They're good for adult lunches.
That's
too.
adorable. That's so funny.
So yes, add the corn dog mini muffins, which do make a lot. It says that they make 10 dozen, which like is enough as it is. But that day, it made more than 10 dozen.
You were working with a new type of pan, so maybe you ran out of hot. Oh, yeah. Some of them don't have hot dogs.
Yeah,
Is it because you actually ran out, or you just chose not to?
Well, I did run out.
Yeah.
And so they rose higher. So I don't know if it's because of the pan or my baking powder was just extra happy. I don't know.
Oh, that kid that I like his Instagram videos, Dylan Hollis.
Yeah.
He calls it floof powder.
Oh, floof powder.
Floof powder, and he's like, "What is this recipe? This is going to the moon," he says.
My floof powder was extra floofy.
Totally.
Okay, I'm putting these back in the freezer. I'm gonna grab out that dough. I know it hasn't been in there very long, but we don't want it to actually freeze.
No, and that's a super freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets right at it.
I have a very good freezer.
She does. Well, when you're in the market, you know.
Oh, that is, like, that's only been in there for minutes.
And it's so much better.
It's so much easier to slice.
Oh, good.
Okay, so we discovered for you a trick that if you have let your croissant dough sit out while you filmed the beginning of your video, then you might want to put it in your freezer before you slice it.
Yeah, maybe I'll make a note on when I go in to change the name of the one on the website. I will update with a note to say, you know, if you're having trouble slicing these.
Well, and maybe you should update both of them once we get this done. It's going to make more than 10.
Well, I don't think you're cutting them at an inch yet.
Well, this is an inch, right?
This is an inch.
Yeah, that's an inch.
Okay, I don't.
That's an inch.
It's a skinny inch.
But it's an inch.
You think?
Yeah. I always know that this is an inch.
There you go.
I mean, not everyone has a thumb that has exactly an inch from the knuckle to the tip, but I do.
You're funny. Yeah, I don't. I have hammers.
Oh, let's see yours.
Well,
actually, it's not bad.
It's not bad. You have a long thumbnail. Do you include your thumbnail?
No. Okay, the things that I discover about myself.
A weird video today. Okay, do you know what I've been trying to do? Don't laugh at me. When I buy jalapenos, I try hold them and see if it makes the thing happen. I tried to feel the heat and know how hot they are. And
does it work?
Maybe I don't do it long enough or I'm not in tune to it. I think if I practiced it, I could do it. But I feel very stupid standing in the grocery store doing it And you're probably very fast at it. Charlotte has a thing where if she's buying jalapenos, she likes them really spicy, and she can hold it in her hand and she will feel it on top of her head how spicy it is.
And so
And she's not the only one. It's a thing.
I get this spot right here, and if something is super spicy and I'm holding it, it'll actually sweat. It's weird and true, and like super weird.
You have a capsaicin detector.
I do, and my husband used to not believe me until like I made him put his finger there. You felt it.
Maybe at the first time that we discovered this.
Yeah. Anyway, so I've had this thing for years. My dad has it too, I think.
How did you discover it?
Well, when I'm holding something spicy, I can feel like this, like fire, like this, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm like, what is that? And then, you know, you go touch up there, and then you realize it doesn't happen so much with the ones that are not
as spicy.
As spicy, and you realize it gets more, and so you make the correlation. But the funniest thing ever, I can't believe I'm telling this story on YouTube too, but anyway, we're just saying all the things today. This is the funniest thing that ever happened with my head thing, is that my husband and I were watching a video 2 weeks ago maybe. It was a documentary about food. I don't remember what it's called, but it was actually really interesting. And the first episode is about chili peppers. And it takes you all over the world and introduces you to some chefs that are experts with certain types of cooking, like Thai cooking was one of them. And it talks about the peppers, and it even talks about how, like, the Tabasco plant and why it is that Tabasco is the only place that can really, really make, like, it's a place in the States that makes this Tabasco sauce.
And it's very specific.
And it takes 5 years.
Oh.
Yeah, like it's very, very specific.
Okay.
And actually I have a lot more respect for Tabasco sauce after watching this show. But there was one pepper that was so insanely spicy, and you know, people that are crying and they're eating it, and they're on fire. Like, it's just, you know, crazy spicy. And so it was a restaurant that was serving this pepper, and they had their wait staff try it if they wanted to be able to serve it as the special that night. And the wait staff is going out serving customers like half an hour later.
With their nose running.
They're still crying. And they're sweating, and they're, you know, and so you just see how hot it was. As I'm watching this, I'm not experiencing, I'm not holding a pepper, I'm not eating a pepper.
You started to sweat?
I got the thing on top of my head, and I was like, what is wrong with my body? What is this? Like, it detects spicy things when I'm...
Wow.
It's so weird. And then my husband was like, oh yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
So I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why I don't know.
You should be studied. That's super interesting.
Yeah, please
That's
don't
so funny.
lock me away and study my
your weird
thing on top of my
your weird head.
But I think maybe it's a thing. Like, I
obviously
think other people have it. Maybe. I haven't researched it.
The last time we talked about this in a video, people chimed in and said, oh yeah, I know somebody, or that happens to me. Yeah, it's a thing.
It's a thing. I'm not that weird. Well, maybe I am, but not just about that.
No comment.
Okay, so I'm going to count these, but...
There's 17.
There's 17. You already counted in your head. So I do have to split this onto 2 sheets because they do open wide. And so these are too close together.
You have probably noticed the buns out. Buns out, guns out. And some of you are already getting excited because that means sliders. We have no new sliders for you today, unfortunately, even though we have quite the repertoire of sliders. In fact, Charlotte, when she's editing, should put a video right there of a slider video. And you can see all the sliders. And we'll put the description, or we will put the link in the description below as well.
Okay, I'm putting these in the oven.
Okay.
They're going to get wider and they will be beautiful. Except for the ones that I cut in the beginning that are really quite...
We are rooting for them.
Unattractive.
We'll see how they go, hey?
We are making sliders, but we are making them very differently today. Because normally we make our sliders in a big foil tray. We cover them with foil. And then we bake the whole thing up, and we have some really good sliders. Our most popular sliders lately have been our cheeseburger sliders.
Oh yeah,
so
and they are good.
I will put the link for our cheeseburger sliders. I'm not sure if they're just in the club or if they're on both sites, but whatever. I will put the link for that below because they are really popular. People are raving about this, like in our Facebook group and through their, their 5-star ratings and all of that. But it's really nice because you can bake it all up. They're great for taking camping. They're great for like just in a pinch. Now I think we do meat, then sauce, then cheese, so that the buns don't get soggy.
No, it's it's cheese, then sauce, then meat. And then more cheese.
Okay.
I agree with you. I think we should do the meat first because people have been that is one comment on the pizza sliders. They taste amazing, but sometimes the middle part, when they have it in the pan, is a little soggy. So let's change it up. And maybe we'll go easy on the sauce.
Yeah.
We aren't doing these the same way, so it won't matter in the end, but.
Here, I'm gonna give you some of these.
I can do this.
Okay, so we are making these differently though than we make all of our sliders because these are going in school lunches. You can't send a big tray unless you're going to feed the class, which you could do if you wanted to, but these are for individual school lunches.
I'm going to because I can kind of see where the buns are divided, I'm just going to put 2 on each one.
Yeah, great.
So that way when we go and cut them, we don't sometimes when you cut through something, especially something like a pepperoni slice that has a skin on it, that one's just really thick. It drags it out, and you're like, oh well, that kid only gets half a slice or no slice. So I'm just being ecumenical.
All right, so our plan for these is we're actually going to bake them here and now, and then we are going to cut them, because the cheese will then be melted. And if you could cut them pre-baking if your child has access to a microwave at school. If they don't, then you're gonna wanna bake them now. And then we're actually going to separate them into individual sandwiches, little pizza sliders, and put them into sandwich bags. Then we're gonna put the sandwich bags into a large freezer bag so that they can be grabbed out individually and just thrown into a lunch.
And if you're wondering, sandwich bags are much thinner plastic, right? You don't want to use that alone in the freezer. We're guaranteeing yourself for freezer burn. We do want to double protect them. So even if you have them in a container that the sandwich bags, like with the buns in the sandwich bags go into, as long as they have that extra layer of protection, I just don't want you to be disappointed. You could wrap these, you could wrap them in tin foil, you could wrap them in plastic wrap, you could wrap them in wax paper, if you didn't want to go the plastic route, and those would all work as well. Okay.
Now, cheese.
You're doing such a good job. I'm just gonna watch you today.
We're sort of taking turns with that.
A little.
The funny thing is that to make lunches and snacks actually takes longer than making the dinners.
It does.
10 times longer. But lately...
And they go twice as fast.
Yes, they do. But I have been really appreciating my breakfasts and snacks and lunches lately. Like a lot. My husband's been away, and so I have been not having to feed a whole family. Therefore, I'm just taking out little lunch-size things and feeding myself. One of my daughters is here as well, and then our little guy, but he doesn't eat much. So, and he's picky and just whatever. So, but he does eat the waffles that I make. So I had made waffles for breakfast stuff in the freezer, so that's already done. What do you think?
I think that looks good.
Now, normally, our pizza sliders, the best part of the pizza sliders is the topping, which is butter, Parmesan cheese, and Italian seasoning, and it's really nice on top. Now, you could choose to do that, but I think that they're going
It'll be a little messy for school, and the butter can be a little greasy. Now, if you're sitting at your kitchen table and you have access to washcloths and sinks and lots of napkins, go ahead and do it. If they're going to be at school and they're going to be wiping that on their pants, don't do it.
Yes.
So we're going to skip it on these ones. But yes, it is a nice topping. Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're going to put those in the oven. Okay, now we're going to make ham and cheese sliders, which is going to be a really similar idea. We're using ham and cheese. Now for these, they normally have a topping on them that is so delicious. Like, it's so good. But it has sticky things in it like honey, and it's got mustard and poppy seeds, and so that is not going to be great on little hands for school. So
agreed.
If you're going to make this and you're going to, cook it right over your campfire, or cook it in your oven and serve it at home, take it with you to a potluck, I mean, do the topping. It's awesome.
Yes.
And you want it to be like
ooey gooey. Yeah, you totally do.
But for today, we're going to make the simplest, just basically ham and cheese buns. That's it. Mm-hmm. Now, we could bake these if we wanted to. We're not going to. We're just going to make ham and cheese buns. We're going to cut them, and then we're going to individually put them into sandwich bags, put it in a large freezer bag or a container, get them in the freezer, and they can grab them out. The ones that have access to a microwave, because some of my kids do have access to a microwave, some of them don't. They can either eat a cold ham and cheese bun or they can eat a warmed up ham and cheese bun, and they will be fine. Now, if you wanted, you can put little condiments. You can get these little containers and you can put little condiments in the lunch. So then, and this is the thing about not baking them, this is my reasoning, they can actually add the mustard or the mayo onto their sandwich. You can also send a lettuce leaf.
Right.
And they can add that into their sandwich, make it fresher. It's still really easy for you to do.
Right. And half the work of if you were making these from scratch the morning of school or lunch or whatever, or for your kids. Because I don't know about you, but my kids make their own lunch. And so my son eats ham and cheese pretty much every day. I'm like, are you sick of them yet? And he said, I'm not. He's like me. He'll never get sick of sandwiches. My daughter hasn't eaten a sandwich since 2018, I think.
And your husband hasn't eaten one since childhood.
Yeah, he just, I can make a sandwich and make him eat it because I make them fancy, but just to throw some peanut butter and jam on a sandwich does not do it for him. So we are very divided on the sandwiches in our family, but my kids make their own lunch.
Yeah, and so this makes it so easy for them to grab. Also, if you're able to get your luncheon meat or your cheese on sale, now, I have to tell you, because I always share my sales with you, I got this cheese 2 for 1.
Oh, did you?
Pre-sliced cheese is so expensive, but this was
so
2 for 1. So
can I use it all? Do you have big plans?
I thought if we had extra, we would make ham and cream cheese roll-ups, but I don't have, my heart isn't set on that.
Yeah, I can make this size fit. That's totally fine.
So when you're doing a whole bunch at once, you not only save the time, but you do save a lot of money because you can take advantage of those sales, get it used up before it goes bad in your fridge. And we're using the slider buns from Costco, so they come in a 2-pack. So for us to make 2 different slider things, or you could make 2 of the same, whatever, it just makes good sense.
It is nice to have the sliced cheese. I feel very fancy, very, very rich.
2 for 1,
that is pretty good. Can I do it this way? Nah, the guy in the middle gets kind of. The guy in the middle either gets less or gets more. We'll give him more. It'll be okay.
I don't think he'll notice.
Favorite child stuff, I don't have a favorite child. I've said it about 4 times because it's a joke, but I feel like I need to clarify. I can already hear the comments. Christy has favorite children. Her poor other child. No. And that's it. Like Charlotte said, we can send the mustard or mayo separate. Mayo doesn't freeze super well, but we're gonna throw this sucker on, and then I'm gonna just slice them like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. And look how many days worth of lunches we're able to do. I mean, it does depend how
For
many
my
kids you
son,
have.
seriously, he would take 3 of these. He's 14.
Yes.
He's starting to eat like a teenager. Yeah. And right now, like, he is so hungry all the time, and
and he's in football.
and he's playing football, and so he is like, after like the second he steps off the field, can we eat? I just need to eat, and the poor guy. So I need to get better at planning ahead. When he was playing volleyball, I'd be like, okay, you have volleyball today. Pack an extra sandwich.
Right.
So after school, you have something to eat before your game or whatever. But, oops.
Okay, I'm gonna get sandwich bags.
So I am gonna try get as much air as I can out of this because I don't know how long it's gonna sit in the freezer. When you are freezer cooking or freezer uncooking, you want to get as much air out of the bag as you can because air is what causes your freezer burn. Like I was saying earlier, sandwich bags are not freezer bags. These aren't going to stand up to spending a month in there without, you know, having a bit of damage. Got to protect your buns. I'm hungry now. I said that earlier to Charlotte off camera, but now, like, after making all these, I think there might be some pizza pinwheels in my belly.
Very soon.
Very soon.
So I told you that I had another neighbor story for you, and this one is really heartwarming, I think. It's just my opinion, but we have a club member, YouTube viewer named Rose, who was one of my first ever YouTube viewers. She's one of the first people that ever left me a comment who wasn't my mom. And, right?
Yep.
And it was when I was filming all by myself in this kitchen. And it just so happens that Rose is really good friends with one of our neighbors and lives nearby. So I don't know if YouTube recommended the video to her based on geography or if it was just happenstance, I don't know. But whatever the case is, we love Rose. So I had never met Rose in
And she was
person.
one of the very first club members too.
She was.
She was an early adopter.
Yes. Made that camping meal plan like the early days.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Rose, I had never met her in person, and a few weeks ago, was it a few weeks ago now? Yeah.
Last weekend.
Yeah, so a week
and a half.
week and a half ago, Rose said she wanted to bring me some German streusel, homemade German streusel. So I gave Rose my address and we arranged a time.
We are not in the habit of giving our YouTube viewers our personal home address, but there's a P.O. box down below if you want to send us something like Carrie did with the muffin tins.
Yeah,
but
we'll take mail.
we'll take mail, but we don't often take visitors.
No, but Rose knows one of our neighbors. And and we had come to trust Rose over the years. So, and there's actually a fair amount of people that we probably at this point would trust enough to say, yeah, here's where we live.
Yeah, it's totally true.
If they happen to be in town. Not all of them are our neighbors like Rose.
Yeah.
She lives very close by. And Rose came and we had a lovely visit. It was short because that day we were having our little guy's birthday party and it was like, I think an hour before people arrived. So, and maybe even a half an hour. So the funny part is that my kids are scurrying around like vacuuming and sweeping in the background and like I'm standing at the door with Rose. And I cannot tell you like how incredibly sweet and lovely Rose is and so much knowledge about our area because she's lived here a really long time and she was a teacher in the community and things, so she so much knowledge about this area. I could have talked to her for a lot longer, and Christy would have just...
I was so sad. I was in town running errands and she said she's coming today. I'll text you when she gets here in case you're home, and I wasn't home yet and I did not get to see Rose, so come back, Rose, and we can have tea. We could do it again. Bring more streusel.
So
I had your streusel. It was very good. I was at the birthday party.
So we had 2 kinds of streusel from Rose, and she brought me homemade salsa.
Oh yeah, it was good too.
And some honey, and I served that salsa for the
we
party,
ate it.
and it was gone by the end of the party. And the streusel, my kids loved it. And she made me homemade cards, including one for our little guy. And I just, like, oh. Anyway, it was heartwarming, and it was lovely, and it was so neighborly and wonderful. And that's my story. That's my neighbor story.
That's a good neighbor story.
And now we're gonna make something else for you. All right, so our pizza sliders are out. Our pizza pinwheels are out. I do have some extra ham. What I'm gonna do is, it could not be easier. This is like our ham and cream cheese pinwheels, and it's a 3-ingredient recipe because we are just taking some cream cheese. Now, it works better with the spreadable cream cheese, but I have recently discovered that the Costco cream cheese, which is also really inexpensive because it comes in a 4-pack and it works out to like at least $1 per pack less than in the grocery store. So that's a big deal. Is way more spreadable. It's quite soft. So I haven't even had this out of the fridge for very long, and it's easy to spread. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna take your flour tortilla, and if you wanted, you could take like a spinach one or a sun-dried tomato one, or one that's got a little more color than just like a white flour tortilla. But this is what I had in the fridge, and we did say that today was gonna be about using what you have. So we're just using a white flour tortilla. We're spreading cream cheese all over. Then we're going to add some ham, roll it up, and cut it into thirds and put it in a freezer bag. You don't have to freeze these flat. They don't stick together in the bag or anything. And then you can just grab out as many as you need to put in their lunch. And this is like, replaces a sandwich. Super easy, or it can be an after-school snack.
One of the first times I had come over to see Charla, first of all, Charla homeschooled, and she had all these kids, and it was always busy in here. And one of my favorite things that you did with your kids, and it's not necessarily just homeschool that you do this, but she did muffin tin lunches where each kid had their own six muffin pan that she would put different things in, and that way they would get a variety of foods. It was a way for them to try something new, and if they didn't like it, there was only a little bit that they had to eat, and it was just adorable. And the kids have
fun. You could do it in themes.
They have such wonderful memories of, and yes, because she was homeschooling, she would often theme based on what they were doing in homeschool at that time.
Like a pirate one, or if we're doing like the letter F, then it would be like fruit and fish and fries.
She is very creative that way. Now, the other thing, besides the muffin tin lunches, were one day I came over and she's like, okay, I'm just gonna make the kids a real quick snack. And she did this while we were visiting here in the kitchen, and she did about 5 of these. She did not have them in the freezer. They don't last long in the freezer, honestly, because they get eaten, they go quick. And I had never seen such a thing of ham and cream cheese, and that was it. And to this day, that is still my son's one of his favorite snacks.
And it's just so easy.
The other thing he likes, I can't find it right now, and I need to find it. I have a Disney Kids Can Cook cookbook.
Oh, yes, I have that same one. Yes.
And
no, I don't have the Disney one. I have the Company's Coming one. Sorry.
Okay, it's a Disney one.
Yeah.
And so, like, I remember with my daughter, we made breadsticks, but they were fairy breadsticks, so that you could paint a little bit of food coloring on them, so that Tinkerbell, is from the fairy kingdom or whatever. Just things like that. It's super adorable. But one of the things that we make in there all the time, you can't freeze it, but I'll still tell you about it, is you mix a mashed banana with a little bit of peanut butter, and you chop up a Granny Smith apple, and you just use a quarter of it, so it's just for tang and crunch, and you mix that together in a bowl and spread it on, on a flour tortilla like that, and then we slice it in half or in thirds, and then they eat that, and that still is my son's go-to if he's eating tortillas. And it does make it to lunch. It gets a little mushy because it's bananas and stuff, and it's pretty moist. But man, it hits the food groups. It's healthy and delicious.
And fun.
And we always have peanut butter. We often have bananas and Granny Smith apples. So it is fun. It's good. I'm just watching her cook. This is like my favorite thing. While you do that, I will cut these.
Okay, so yeah.
These are the pizza sliders. We did cook them, and then we'll let them cool.
Before we put them in the freezer. Actually, before we put them in the bags, we'll let them cool.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if you wanted to serve these just as an immediate snack, you could slice them into tiny little pinwheels and lay them out, and the kids could eat them right now, and that would work. But I find for the freezing, this is what works best. And then for packing in the lunches too, having them in a third, it fits really well in like your bento box, or I guess in a sandwich bag or whatever.
Yep. For the Tupperware sandwich containers, if I cut them in half, I can fit 4 perfectly across. So it's 2 tortillas. For my son, it used to be enough. It probably isn't anymore. Do you notice in the spring that your kids are hungrier?
Oh yeah.
I remember a teacher at school sending a note home that's saying, can you please send bigger lunches? Because she's like, I have a granola bar, like a box of granola bars kind of for emergencies, like if a kid forgets his lunch or for whatever reason. But she's like, I am running low and they are hungry. So could you please send more food? And if anybody wants to buy me granola bars for my classroom, that would be appreciated.
Well, and I find that in the summer is when they shoot up. Like they usually have their growth spurts in the summer.
Well, we've watched my son almost grow like you watch like a sunflower grow. Like
yes, and
he's taller than me finally.
Telling you that our little one, he's 2. He just turned 2. Well,
yeah.
That was the birthday party day, and so although his actual birthday was just 3 days ago. But anyway, he was in size 18 months. He's, on the smaller side. And all of a sudden, he wasn't. And it was 2 days. It was 2 days where he fit the clothes, and then 2 days later, he didn't fit the clothes. And I'm not talking like he grew a little bit and I just didn't notice. I'm talking that his feet pushed through the bottom of the sleeper, and there's a giant foot-size hole in the bottom of the sleeper. And there's another outfit. It's his little Oilers outfit, which is our local hockey team. And it's just a one-piece outfit. Totally has fit him all this time. I can't even do the buttons up on that thing. So in the span of 2 or 3 days, he just shot up. But again, it's summer. And that seems to be what happens, especially with boys. I noticed it especially with my boys.
My daughter was always one of the taller kids anyway, but yeah, she was a little bit more steady. And she's 16 now, but in the last year, she still grew. We kind of thought she was done. And now she's exactly my height. And maybe she's got a little bit more juice in the tank and she'll grow. So I just transferred these over onto this one. We split up the pinwheels so that they could spread out, right? And so I just moved them onto one tray. This can go in the freezer. This was still hot and I didn't want to put it in the freezer. It's uncomfortable to touch. This one is fine. So we'll get those in the freezer, get them nice and frozen solid, bag them up and be done. And those are ready to go?
These are ready. The last thing that we're gonna make is some rhubarb muffins. I have had a very abundant rhubarb year, and I will pop a video right up there where you can see me go out and gather rhubarb. And then I actually did it in another video too, but I haven't edited that one because I still have way more. It is a rhubarb year.
I might get some rhubarb from you because I had to pull out my rhubarb plant. So we rebuilt our deck this year and we kind of changed it, got a little bit bigger. And my rhubarb plant had to be removed, and it took so long to build the deck that we didn't get it into a new spot right away. So
You are welcome to it.
And when we took it down, I harvested a lot right then because I thought if I don't and I can't get this back in the ground right away, I'll be wishing I did. But yes, I might help myself to some of your rhubarb.
You are more than welcome. So yeah, we're gonna get some rhubarb muffins made because muffins are another thing that is so great for grab and go snacks, breakfast, or to throw in that lunchbox for school. So we're gonna get that underway, and for as discombobulated as this has been, we've actually gotten a fair bit done and just mostly using things I already had.
And now these are ready.
Our English muffins are ready to bag, so we are just rolling.
We're cruising.
This has actually been about an hour and a half since we started, and even through our bumbling through, we're gonna be done here in, like, I would say half an hour. So 2 hours start to finish, including baking time, and we have quite a variety.
Oh, this is for having a pizza day, we are having a variety. That is for sure.
Especially since I still have those corn dog mini muffins.
A lot of them.
A lot of them.
And because earlier I said I was hungry, I've already eaten 2 of the pizza pinwheels, and now we're at 15. So it's exactly like...
Yeah, like it's gonna say now in the club where it used to say 10.
We're gonna change it to 15.
Now it's gonna say 15 because we need to be accurate. All right, so for our rhubarb muffins, this recipe came from my friend Grace, and they're called Phantom Rhubarb Muffins, and I don't know why they're called Phantom Rhubarb Muffins, but whatever. That's what Grace called them, and so that's what I call them. And
do they disappear in the muffin?
No.
Like, you know how sometimes rhubarb, because if you chop it small and it's fibrous and it...
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, they are there, but they really are the best rhubarb muffins. I think it's because of the streusel topping.
Oh, anything with a streusel topping makes it 10 times better. Like,
yeah.
Yes, of course.
All right, so for this, I am using some rhubarb that I put in the freezer last week when I went out there and harvested and chopped it up. So I froze them into 1 cup or 2 cup bags and just wrote on the bag how much they have in them. I tend to like double the amount of rhubarb that I use in a recipe, but yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do that with zucchini too, because then you're getting more vegetables or fruit into your kids, and they don't know, and they're happy to eat it because it's a muffin,
they don't know.
or it's a loaf, and they're like, or cake, zucchini cake, like.
Your zucchini loaf is really good.
It is really good.
I have double chocolate zucchini muffins that are really good.
Me too. Maybe I got the recipe from you.
You might have.
Because
my son got it from his grade 4 teacher.
Ooh.
They had an oven in their classroom in grade 4. The new school, right? Yeah, pretty nice.
You know what? Christy's going to kill me for this, but
you want to make them?
I have zucchini in my freezer too, and like we've got the oven on anyway.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
So we'll just make 2 kinds of muffins, and it's gonna be so good.
It'll be so good.
And then we'll have muffins to pull from our freezers for snacks. And
one of us will.
I'll share. Hey, I'm sharing my pizza pinwheel.
I know I've already eaten some, so you know. She feeds me, don't get me wrong. Right.
Okay. This is rhubarb muffins first, and then we'll do our double chocolate zucchini muffins, which I haven't made in a long time.
I can't wait.
When you talked about them, I'm like, we're gonna make those too. All right, so for your rhubarb muffins, you're gonna mix together some sour cream, vegetable oil, egg in a bowl, and then you're going to stir together your flour, your diced rhubarb, some brown sugar, baking soda, and salt, and then mix that into your wet ingredients. You're gonna put these into a greased muffin tin. Then you're gonna mix together your topping, which is some brown sugar, some cinnamon, and some melted butter. Now, if you want, you can add pecans to your topping, but we've got a tree nut allergy, actually, and a peanut allergy in our house, so we don't do that. But you can, and it would be delicious. Then you put that topping on there, and you bake these When they come out of the oven, you're gonna wanna wait for them to fully cool. So you can transfer them to a cooling rack if you want. You wanna wait for them to cool before you put them into a freezer bag and get those in your freezer so that you've got a great grab and go snack. All right, so for our double chocolate zucchini muffins, you're gonna mix together some butter, oil, sugar, eggs, some buttermilk or sour milk. You can make that by combining some milk and some vinegar if you don't have buttermilk, and vanilla. Once that's mixed, you're gonna add some flour, cocoa powder, cinnamon, cloves, baking powder, baking soda. Mix that in. Then you're gonna add in your shredded zucchini. Mine is from the freezer. And then once that's mixed in, you're gonna stir in some chocolate chips. So these are double chocolate zucchini muffins. So good. We're gonna bake those. Once they're baked, we're gonna cool them, get them into a freezer bag, and just like that, we've got another grab and go snack. Wow, for a day that we were just gonna make a few pizza things.
We have a lot going on. But it's really great.
I am feeling a lot less stressed about the start of the school year and everything that this sort of season brings with it. Extra kids activities and all of your calendar suddenly fills up so much more.
Right.
Even appointments and things.
Yeah, it does.
Have an uptick. And so this has lowered my stress level about that, which I'm very thankful for. I hope that you'll choose to make some of these recipes and lower your stress level too.
And one of the best things about making freezer meals, especially ones like this, you can get your kids involved. There is nothing wrong with them standing up here putting pepperoni on their sliders or on their little mini pizzas. You might not get as many things into the freezer as you would normally because they're there helping you and they will eat along the way. But my goodness, it's actually a good family activity, and they will hopefully appreciate the food all that much more because they have helped make it.
I find that they're more likely to eat it too, especially if they get a say in what's in it. And pizza inspired stuff is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Because they can really choose, like, yes, I want mushrooms on mine, or no, I don't. And yes, I want the green pepper, or no, not so much,
Right.
And so it's a great way. And if you have multiple kids, they can easily make their own of those mini English muffin pizzas. And then they'll know which ones are theirs in the freezer, which is really nice and fun. Also, you could write their name on the freezer bag. just in case, right?
Yes, because it's entirely possible that somebody might eat somebody else's.
And that would be a catastrophe.
Calamity.
Thank you so much for being here as we stocked our freezer with some back to school snacks and lunches. Wishing you all the best this fall with your back to school, and happy cooking.
Bye.